And we're live. Greetings, friends. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Weirdling Wednesdays, where we investigate the uncanny, the unnatural, the otherworldly, and the unreal. The ghost says hi. Hi, ghost. And J-Lash with the thumbs ups. Appreciate you, J-Lash. Thank you, friend. And Miko Herptile says, hello, Superantonio and Sadie. Hello, mods. Howdy, folks. Advance 4th of July greetings. Yes, happy 4th to all of the freedom-loving Superantonians in the chat. Appreciate you being here. And for everyone else, enjoy the 4th. Tonight we are going to be talking about William Seabrook, who was an occultist, an explorer, a traveler, a journalist, and a cannibal. He was active in the 20s, and he actually, ironically, didn't do anything illegal. I mean, he didn't put anyone to sleep. He ate human flesh for science, just so he could write about it, and he was curious about how it tasted, and I learned about him when I was doing research on the Donner Party, which I was originally going to do Weirdling Wednesdays this Wednesday on, but I was fascinated by this character, partly because I'd never heard of him before, and mostly. David is here. David, greetings. Welcome, friend. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Happy 4th. What are you making for the 4th? And what did you have for dinner? I had cheeseburger sliders, and I gave her a whole slider, and she gulped it down in one gulp. I don't even think she chewed, but she was very happy, and I was very happy too. David has a snake emoticon for Miko. What's that about? What was I going to tell you? Yeah, so I thought we could talk about William Seabrook. He, in addition to eating human flesh, David had a fried egg sandwich. I love fried egg sandwiches. Now I want a fried egg sandwich. Miko says, hey, David, and hey, Chrissy. I'm going to call back our co-host who wants to move to the balcony. I think she's hot under these lights. Hop, hop. Good girl. Okay, stay here. Just stay here for a minute while people roll in. What was I saying? Yeah, in addition to eating human flesh, he wrote a book in 1929 entitled The Magic Island, which documented his experiences with Haitian voodoo in Haiti, and is considered the first popular English language work to describe the concept of zombies. The movie White Zombie, starring Bela Lugosi, was based on this book, and that movie inspired Rob Zombie. David. Chrissy V, greetings, friend. Happy 4th of July to you. Happy Wednesday. Chrissy V is in the chat. David's better half. So, yeah, I'd never heard of this fellow before. I was fascinated by him, and I thought we could talk about him for Weirdling Wednesdays. We will read his biography, and if we have time, we shall read about the books he wrote. For pictures, where are we? Hold on a second. For the slideshow tonight, I have random pictures from the internet of White Zombie and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, I just threw in because, cannibals. It's the cannibal theme. And also just random pictures of cannibals. And I think I put some of Sweeney Todd in there as well. As always, we cannot really go full frame on this because I don't own the copyright. There's licensing issues, but it's fair use if we keep it at 50% of the screen. or less than 50%. Anyways, let's get into it. David says, there she is. Yeah, she's gone already. She's lying on the floor, wondering why I'm talking, but not talking to her. I got a funny story to tell you guys that I might share with you today, or perhaps on Friday, if we have time. Okay, William Seabrook. William Bueller Seabrook, February 22, 1884 to September 20th, 1945, was an American occultist, explorer, traveler, journalist, and writer, born in Westminster, Maryland. He began his career as a reporter and city editor of the Augusta Chronicle in Georgia, worked at the New York Times, and later became a partner in an advertising agency in Atlanta. He is well known for his writing on and engaging in cannibalism. Seabrook's 1929 book, The Magic Island, which documents his experiences with Haitian voodoo in Haiti, is considered the first popular English-language work to describe the concept of zombies. Early life. Seabrook graduated from Mercersburg Academy. He then attended Roanoke College, received a master's degree from Newbury College, and studied philosophy at the University of Geneva in Switzerland. In 1915, he left an advertising agency to join the American Field Service of the French Army. I believe Hemingway was also part of that service. Hemingway was an ambulance driver, and I assume Seabrook did something similar. He served in World War I, including at Verdun, where he was gassed. Following the war, Seabrook became a reporter for the New York Times and soon became an itinerant, much like Hemingway. Beside his books, Seabrook published articles in popular magazines, including Cosmopolitan, Reader's Digest, and Vanity Fair. In 1912, Seabrook married Catherine Pauline Edmondson. They divorced in 1934. Soon after, he married Marjorie Worthington in 1935. That marriage ended in 1941. This marriage was followed by his marriage to Constance Coeur, which began in 1942 and ended with his death in 1945. Moving on to the cannibalism, which is why you're all here. In the 1920s, Seabrook traveled to Western Africa and came across a tribe who partook in the eating of human flesh. Seabrook wrote about his experience of cannibalism in his travel book Jungle Ways. However, he later admitted that the tribe had not allowed him to join in on the ritualistic cannibalism. Instead, he had obtained samples of human flesh by persuading a medical intern at the Sorbonne University to give him a chunk of human meat from the body of a man who had died in an accident. He reported, and I'm quoting here, "It was like good, fully developed veal, not young, but not yet beef. It was very definitely like that, and it was not like any other meat I had ever tasted. It was so nearly like a good, fully developed veal that I think no person with a palate of ordinary, normal sensitiveness could distinguish it from veal. It was mild, good meat, with no other sharply defined or highly characteristic taste, such as, for instance, goat, high game, and pork have. The rump steak was slightly tougher than prime veal, a little stringy, but not too tough or stringy to be agreeably edible. The loin roast, from which I cut and ate a central slice, was tender and in color, texture, smell, as well as taste, strengthened my certainty that of all the meats we habitually know, veal is the only one meat to which this meat is accurately comparable. I've also heard it compared to pork. Seabrook might have eaten human flesh on another occasion. While his claim of having participated in ritualistic cannibalism turned out wrong, and he hadn't dared yet to reveal the Sorbonne story, he was much mocked for it. According to his autobiography, the wealthy socialite Daisy Fellows invited him to one of her garden parties, stating, "I think you deserve to know what human flesh really tastes like." During the party, which was attended by about a dozen guests, some of them well known, a piece of supposedly human flesh was grilled and eaten with much pomp and circumstance. He comments that while he never found out the real truth behind his meal, it looked and tasted exactly like the human flesh he had eaten before. I'm fascinated by that part of the story. Daisy Fellows, to quote Wikipedia, was a prominent French socialite, acclaimed beauty, minor novelist and poet, Paris editor of American's Harper's Bazaar, fashion icon, and an heir to the singer's sewing machine fortune. So she was an heiress. So, yeah, she had this eyes wide shut party. I can just imagine it. Everyone's elegantly dressed, wearing masks, and they partook in human flesh. What's that about? In later life, in autumn of 1919, English occultist Aleister Crowley, Chrissy probably knows about him. He was an English occultist, philosopher, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. And basically the father of modern Satanism. So he spent a week with Seabrook at Seabrook's farm. Seabrook wrote a story based on the experience and recounted it in Witchcraft, in his book Witchcraft, Its Power in the World Today. In 1924, he traveled to Arabia and sampled the hospitality of various tribes of the Bedouin and the Kurdish Yazdi. In the first part of the book, Seabrook seeks Mithkay al-Fayez and lives with him and his tribe for several months. When the topic of religion came to them in conversation, Seabrook admitted to Mithqual that he did not believe in the Trinity, but rather in the oneness of God, and that God sent many prophets, including Muhammad. Upon hearing this, Mithqual asked if William would like to enter Islam, and William agreed, with him repeating the Shahada after Mithqual shortly after. Adventures in Arabia, among the Bedouins, Druses, whirling dervishes, and Yazidi devil worshippers. His account of his travels was published in 1927. Its success enabled him to travel to Haiti, where he developed an interest in Haitian voodoo and the Culte des Morts, which were described at length in his book, The Magic Island. The book is credited with introducing the concept of zombie into popular culture. Oh yeah, Ozzy Osbourne, David mentions. Forgot about him. Yeah, Aleister Crowley was super popular in the 60s. I think even the Beatles liked him. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. Seabrook had a lifelong fascination with the occult, which he witnessed and described firsthand as documented in The Magic Island and Jungle Ways. He later concluded that he had seen nothing that did not have a rational, scientific explanation, a theory which he detailed in Witchcraft, Its Power in the World Today. In Air Adventure, he describes a trip on board a Farman with Captain Rene Wautier, a famed pilot, and Marjorie Muir Worthington from Paris to Timbuktu, where he collected a mass of documents from Father Yakuba, a defrocked monk who had an extensive collection of rare documents about the obscure city at the time administered by the French as part of the French Sudan. The book is replete with information about French colonial life in the Sahara and pilots in particular. In December 1933, Seabrook was committed at his own request and with the help of some of his friends to Bloomingdale, a mental institution in Westchester County near New York City, for treatment for acute alcoholism. He remained a patient of the institution until the following July, and in 1935 he published an account of his experience, written as if it were another expedition to a foreign locale. The book, titled Asylum, became another bestseller. In the preface, he stated that his books were not, quote, fiction or embroidery. He married Marjorie Muir Worthington in France in 1935. I bet she's another heiress. Let's look her up. No, she was an American writer of novels and short stories. After they had returned from a trip to Africa on which Seabrook was researching his book, due to his alcoholism and sadistic practices, that's all they say about that, they divorced in 1941. She later wrote the biography The Strange World of Willie Seabrook, published in 1966. On September 20th, 1945, Seabrook died by self-cancellation from a drug overdose in Rhinebeck, New York. He left behind one son, William. A drug overdose, I don't know if that's it's a strong word, that word, self-cancellation, and it implies an intent. And I don't know if, an accident, it could be an accidental drug overdose. You never can tell. But, he was an alcoholic and a little bit crazy. He ate human flesh. So that was his life. We hadn't really heard about him before. And I, for one, was fascinated. And we have plenty of time to get into his books. The Magic Island is a book by American explorer and traveler William Seabrook, first published in 1929. The Magic Island is an account of Seabrook's experiences with Haitian voodoo in Haiti and is considered the first popular English language work to describe the concept of a zombie, defined by Seabrook as a soulless human corpse, still dead but taken from the grave and endowed by sorcery with a mechanical semblance of life. It is a dead body which is made to walk and act and move as if it were alive. The Magic Island was published on January 3rd, 1929, and was named one of the month's best-selling nonfiction books. It received praise from critics at the time for its characterization of the people and the culture of Haiti and its exploration of voodoo, though some reviewers questioned Seabrook's credibility and the accuracy of the material. Retrospective reviews have been critical of the book's depiction of Haiti and voodoo, especially in relation to the United States' then ongoing occupation of Haiti. What's interesting about William Seagrave is he was successful. He was, he was a successful novelist or writer. He was, and he had bestsellers. He wasn't a crankpot. He just liked to eat human flesh. But it was for science. The book has been credited with popularizing the image of zombies as products of voodoo and witchcraft. It inspired the 1932 New York stage play Zombie and influenced the 1932 horror film White Zombie. The latter is widely considered the first full-length zombie film. In 2016, The Magic Island was reprinted by Dover Publications with an introduction written by George A. Romero. And you all know who he was, I'm sure. The director of Night of the Living Dead. The Magic Island documents William Seabrook's experiences on a trip to Haiti, during which time he immersed himself in the Haitian voodoo and African diasporic religion that developed in the country between the 16th and 19th centuries. According to Seabrook's account, he interacted with a voodoo priestess, Mama Sali, who initiated him in rituals that involved drinking blood, the transferring of souls, and resurrection. In the chapter Goat Cry, Girl Cry, Seabrook describes one such ceremony in which a goat is sacrificed in substitution for a Haitian girl. Seabrook not only draws comparison between the practice of voodoo in Haiti and the practice of Christianity in the United States, but also notes the syncretic presence of Christian iconography and beliefs in Haitian voodoo. He regards with mixed feelings the then ongoing United States occupation of Haiti, which began in 1915 and would continue until 1934. The book is notable for the chapter Dead Men Working in Cane Fields, which describes zombies from the Haitian Creole word zombie, human corpses that have been reanimated through magical means, in this case to perform labor. The Magic Island is considered the first popular English language publication to describe the concept of a zombie as an undead or living dead being. The term had appeared in English print prior to Magic Island, but was used to describe other concepts in voodoo, such as a snake god. Upon the book's release, Addie Mae Swan of the Davenport Daily Times wrote that Seabrook, in comparing the religious and lifestyle practices of the Haitian people and white Americans, demonstrates that no two races are very far apart after all. Swan notes Seabrook's openness, writing that he seems to argue for a greater understanding and a greater and finer tolerance, and that only an observer of Mr. Seabrook's tolerance and sympathy could have gone to Haiti and have emerged with a book on native life as penetrating as the Magic Island. And then F. Vander Walter, George Curry of the Brooklyn Daily Eagle writes, "The Magic Island reeks with sacrificial blood, the odor of cadavers, the sinister breath of witchcraft." This is a critic who wanted to be a writer. The horrendous exhalation of unholy terrors slaked in the steaming passions of human animals. It is a grim story of voodooism, the Magic Island, filled with sickening mummeries, repulsive rituals, I like this guy's writing style, orgiastic expiations and propitiations, and armed with an uncanny ability to woo the reader into his own experiences. Seabrook has again created a book that commands attention, although it has no other literary distinction other than to be extraordinarily interesting. So, get a little jab at the end. This guy, George Curry, was jealous of William Seabrook's success. This is a shot from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which has nothing to do with the film, with this Weirdling Wednesdays, but, cannibals. And also Sweeney Todd. Because, again, cannibals. And then moving on to his other most famous book, Witchcraft, Its Power in the World Today, was published in 1940. It details the author's views on psychology, parapsychology, and the occult, and contains information about the author's meeting with a number of famous people, including the aforementioned Aleister Crowley. There are some pictures of Aleister Crowley in the slideshow. Throughout his writing career, Seabrook had been fascinated with the strange, from dervish mystics and adventures in Arabia to Haitian zombies in Magic Island. Witchcraft contains Seabrook's look back at his earlier first-hand experiences. He writes in the foreword that the book will be a disappointment to all who believe in the supernatural. He concludes that although he had searched the world for the supernatural, upon reflection he had to infer that he had seen nothing inexplicable by science. Nevertheless, he remained fascinated by the possibility of human psychology and parapsychology. Yeah, I feel the same way. That everything can be explained, even though when I've seen things with my own eyes. I've doubted my senses. I will doubt myself before I acknowledge what's happening in front of me. The book is divided into 4 sections, including a long appendix. Part 1, The Witch and the Doll. This section contains anecdotes concerning the use of voodoo dolls to cause illness and death, with examples taken from the Ivory Coast, France, and the UK. The author is of the opinion that the dolls work through the power of suggestion, and that even in cases of conscious skepticism, unconscious belief might have an effect. The author also wrote that he had trained as a witch doctor in a Malinke town near Bassam. The section also includes the claim that Seabrook's ancestor, Bishop Peter Bowler, had been a practitioner of black magic. Well, like all authors, they tend to embellish. Got ice water. Part 2, The Vampire and the Werewolf. Have you heard of Elizabeth Bathory, David, and Christina? The Section 2 reviews, Papa One's here. Everyone say hi to Papa One and Mama One. Section 2 reviews the case of the Countess Elizabeth Bathory, a noblewoman accused of murder and sadistic practices. And Mama One says, hey, greetings, Mama One. Countess Elizabeth Bathory de Exed was a Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial sleeper from the Bathory family. I should say serial canceller. That sounds better. Who owned land in the Kingdom of Hungary. Bathory and 4 of her servants were accused of I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. There's some were accused of, let's say, tickling and canceling hundreds of girls and women from 1590 to 1610. She liked to bathe in human blood, in virgin blood. She thought it kept her young. Hence the title, The Blood Countess. I was going to talk about her one of these Sinister Sundays. It also recounts the case of a woman known as Seabrook who felt an urge to drink blood due to her pernicious anemia, and a couple of incidents in Africa that showed a belief in humans turning into animals. He also recounts an incident involving his friend, an occultist named John Bannister, who helped a young Russian woman who had memories of being a wolf. Moving on to part 3, White Magic, Professor Rhine, the Supernormal, and Justine. Serene says, hi, Antonio. I've been listening. Everyone say hi to Serena. Greetings, Serena. Serena's lurking. What's that about? Okay, I hope you found it interesting, Serena. In this section, the author puts forward his theory that sense deprivation may encourage psychic abilities, and he criticizes the work of parapsychologist J.B. Rhine for failing to consider this. While Seabrook was generally skeptical of such abilities, he was perplexed by some of the incidents he recorded and suggests that the theories about time and space of Albert Einstein might hold the answer to some of these mysteries. The anecdotes in this section include the author's own experience of navigating a boat while in a kind of trance due to extreme tiredness, which he compares with the practices of the Malawi dervishes, whom he said that he studied under in Syria. Seabrook then goes on to recount a meeting with G.I. Gurdjieff, who was a philosopher, mystic, and spiritual teacher, composer, and dance teacher. Gurdjieff taught that people are not conscious of themselves and thus live their lives in a state of hypnotic waking sleep, but it is possible to awaken to a higher state. Yeah, so basically, the Matrix. 13 viewers in the chat. Welcome, friends. Serena has a birthday on the 20th of September. Happy early birthday, Star Hearts. And to perform the dances, and to describe the dances performed by his followers, Seabrook then claims that Gurdjieff asked him to invite some of his friends to Gurdjieff's apartment, where Gurdjieff gave a reading from his manuscript, Beelzebub's Tale. Apparently, the listeners, who included behaviorist John Watson, Lytton Steffens, and George Sades, were perplexed and unimpressed. Seabrook notes that the book did not have a publisher, although it was later published under Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson. And then follows a sympathetic account with Aleister Crowley and Seabrook's encounters with him. Hop, hop. Hop, hop. Say hello to Serena. Say hello to Serena, Mama One and Papa One. She's under the desk. What's that about? She's not interested in Weirdling Wednesdays at all, or cannibals. The final chapter discusses Upton Sinclair and his book Mental Radio, with an incident of biographer William Woodward debunking someone who claimed to have a supernatural power. This is followed by an account of Seabrook's experiments in sense deprivation involving his lover Justine. The experiments include the use of a specially made mask, which Seabrook notes was considered to have psychoerotic elements by Michael Liris. What's psychoerotic? Serena says, hi, Sadie, you gorgeous girl. And Pop One says, hey, Sadie. Look at all these people that are saying hi to you. Read the chat and say hi back. And tell everyone to like and subscribe. And Jessica Biel was in the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I just put her in there. I don't know exactly why I put her in. It's a mystery to me. It is a Red Dead mystery. The critical reception. The publication was widely reviewed. Time called it a mildly entertaining pot full of scraps. Newsweek was more complimentary, saying the book was no doubt a valuable contribution to the science of this peculiar subject. The New York Times Book Review wrote, these personal experiences of the author are especially interesting parts of an interesting book. Oh, interesting. The book was used as a source for the 1972 novel Daughters of Darkness, about a young woman who uses African sympathetic magic to control her family and environment. That was made into a movie. I've seen that movie. Or maybe they just use the title. And that, my friends, is the life and death of William Seabrook. And I shall open up the discussion to the chat. How is everyone tonight? Mama One, what's for dinner? What was for dinner? I guess we can leave this up. We'll leave this up. Something to interesting to look at. Serena says, love those movies, Texas Chainsaw. They're very scary movies, Serena, so I don't understand the juxtaposition. I'll tell you a funny story. So, this happened this morning, and I want to tell you it because it's fresh on my mind. I was walking the dog. Again, it was around 8 in the morning, and we walked by a Starbucks. Okay, that is germane to the story. We were not near the Starbucks. Okay, and on the corner is this young man. He looked like he was in like his late teens and early 20s. He's holding like a Starbucks bag and what I assumed was a Frappuccino. Okay. And it looks like he's, it's like a random corner. It looks like he's waiting for an Uber or something. But he's looking at us. He's giving us the stink eye. And he seemed hostile. And, it's like, and we're walking right up to him. And he's like, his body language is weird and tense. And he just keeps like, it's like, it seemed very, he seemed to be upset about something. And I didn't know him. I knew I did not know him. And my mind doesn't immediately go to racism, but he seemed, he had a vibe about him. And, it wasn't the dog. Couldn't have been the dog. Everybody loves dogs. And I wasn't wearing an offensive T-shirt. I was wearing this T-shirt, in fact. So I'm walking up to him, and he's giving off this, what I feel is a hostile energy. And like an O'Driscoll, I don't think you should be walking here, friend. And I'm prepared. It seems like he's going to confront us with something. So as we're walking up, and he seems to be getting more and more excited, Sadie turns around and, turns her head, which means that someone's walking behind us. So I turn around, and there's a girl. And she was kind of cute. I mean, yoga pants and everything, whatever. So she walks up to him, and he hands her the Frappuccino and the Starbucks bag. And she goes, "Thank you so much," like in that tone, that kind of, everyone knows a girl that talks like that. And then he like tries to talk and say something to her, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I can't talk. I'm late for work." It was 8:05. She works at 9. She had plenty of time. And it's not And so she says, I'll talk to you later. I'll text you. And then she like runs away. And he's just like left standing on the corner with a broken heart. And, my immediately, the tone and the context and the paradigm shifts. And I was like, dude, son, did you just spend $10 on a girl and you didn't even get a hug out of the deal? I felt really bad for him, but it's a lesson everyone has to learn. But that it's like, I guarantee whoever that young lady favors with her, like with a deluxe bath, will not have spent $1 on her. That's how it works, but I mean, I assume he got some kind of pleasure about buying her breakfast. I was a little mad at her too for taking advantage of this young lad. But, again, if they want to do it, why not? At any rate, yeah, it was just kind of funny and weird. It was not a look of hate he was giving me and Sadie. It was a look of love, of summer love and dashed hopes. I felt bad for him. Anyways, that's what happened this morning with our adventures with the NPCs. Mama One says, we are throwing a July 4th party tomorrow. We always go big for the 4th. We have horses in our stables. We let people come and ride and experience animals, show them how to take care of the horses. So tonight was famous rabbit stew and cornbread and squash. Yeah, what was for dessert? Mama One says, I may have recorded the video cooking it, but accidentally forgot to film the finished product. So I'll make another stew as some friends want stew with it. David says, riddled with scurvy I was, and one bowl. That's all he took. One bowl. David had a fried egg sandwich. Is it just fried egg and cheese? Like when I think of a fried egg sandwich, I think of a grilled cheese with a fried egg in there. And then as long as we got an egg, why not add some bacon to it as well? That sounds about right. Here's White Zombie. I should have put some Rob Zombie in here too. Didn't think about it. Lemon meringue pie with whipped cream. Wow, yum. I love lemon meringue pie. I'm about the only one in the family that does. Yeah, I had cheeseburger sliders from the Cheesecake Factory. I have a bunch of gift cards that I got over the holidays, so I cashed some of those in. And I gave Sadie a whole cheeseburger slider. I didn't even cut it up. I just handed her one. And she gulped it down in one gulp. What's that about? I think she was worried I'd take it back. Jessica Biel. Fortunately, she hasn't seemed to have gone crazy like Megan Fox has. Did you see both the 1977 version, Serena, and the later one with Jessica Biel, the remake? Which Texas Chainsaw Massacre have you seen? Or both? Yeah, Mama One, I'm looking forward to your video. And don't go for perfection, just get it out and learn as you go. Your first I would say 5 to 10 videos are going to be bad. Everyone's is. David says squeal like a pig. Yeah, they're disturbing movies. I remember when I saw the remake in the theater, and I was like, "Oh, Jessica Biel, that'll be great." Covered in blood, wearing a wife beater. cool. And, I saw it in the theater and I was just emotionally exhausted by the end and really felt no reason to ever see it again. Serena says, I've seen all of them. 2 was good too. Yeah. Yeah, it's just too intense for me. Serena says, the new one, the mother did the Conjuring movies. And Papa Wentz says, we got horses in the stables for the first time in a long time, and our farm dogs are going crazy. Apparently, those darn horses aren't used to farm dogs. They've been sleeping in the stable since 2017. Oh, the farm dogs? So they have to share it. The farm dogs got used to having a stable to play in and sleep in and use as a clubhouse. And now they got to share it. That's funny. Let me see. Sometimes, I don't know if our chat's big enough, but sometimes the AI will like summarize the chat for new people. Even though it's just going to say, the chat is talking about what they had for dinner and and horses. Let's see. But it only pops up like when you like click on the page. I mean, when you first arrive. But I don't think we're big enough. Yeah, we don't get an AI chat. Oh well. Let's move on. 10 viewers in the chat. Welcome, friends. Appreciate you being here. Happy Wednesday. Serena says, I loved Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. Me too, and Christina Ricci. I think that's his last good movie. Or Tim Burton's last great movie. Everything after that has just been overproduced and commercialized. Much like Johnny Depp. It's like he gets to make these big blockbuster movies with unlimited budgets at the expense of his soul. Serena, did you hear the part about William Seabrook's description and consumption of human flesh? Serena says, was Sleepy Hollow a true story? I heard it was. It's based on a legend, yeah. So it's true in the sense that Nathaniel Hawthorne was writing a legend that he had heard. And aren't you impressed that I know who wrote Sleepy Hollow? It's a short story from 1820. Papa One says, farm dogs are all relatively young. The oldest is like 10, but he's still going strong. He's a big mixed breed St. Bernard and some kind of sheep dog. He weighs 120 pounds, mainly because he loves... Somebody says, Johnny Depp is a great actor. He makes me laugh too. Oh, mainly when he loves. Papa One continues, when Mama One gives him leftovers. He's in charge of the farm dogs. He always eats first, and he's actually the most aggressive of the bunch when it comes to trespassers. His name is Brutal, after the giant guard who is a gentle giant in the Green Mile. That's a great name. Yeah, that was one of the first tricks I used to teach Sadie and discipline her, not in the sense that, to punish. I don't mean discipline in terms of punish. I believe dogs like discipline. They like order. They like being part of a pack. And the first thing I did, because she was all over the place, was get her to wait, and not in that when we ate meals, I'd put the meal in front of her and tell her to wait, and she wouldn't, so I'd take it away. And then finally she understood that she had to wait. And then I would eat whatever I was eating first. I'd eat first, and I'd make her watch me eat. then I tell her that she could eat. And now she won't even eat without me telling her that I can, that she's allowed to eat. So I think I trained her a little too much. But it was the first thing. I mean, she was not trained at all when I got her. She was just a wild child. It's for her own good. So she's not running on, out in the street. So she's, she didn't know any commands at all. She barely knew her name. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, or they were just overfeeding her and letting her go crazy. Serena says, Mama One and Papa One, you are amazing how you help people going to your farm and teaching them about horses. Yes, they are. We're very lucky to have them here. They elevate the chat. Same with Christina. And I suppose you as well, Star Hearts, our Australian correspondent. Have you broken into Assassin's Creed Valhalla yet? I want you to load up the game just to see if you can make it work. Just to make sure it's not region locked. So put it in and see that if it plays. You don't have to play it. I just want to know that you can. Papa One says, my dad used to discipline dogs if they did something really bad, but most dogs loved him. Shortly before my dad died, he got mad at a dog that we had called Gunner, who was a farm dog, but he just didn't like. Serena says, everyone here is amazing too. Yeah, I think dogs like structure, dogs like order, dogs like, it's like it's a comfort to them. If they have a place and they know and they know where they stand. Serena says, I will, Antonio, I will let you know. I will let you know. As far as next Sunday's Weirdling Wednesdays, haven't really figured it out yet. I like the improvisation and just winging it. Leatherface. So yeah, really, in addition to consuming human flesh, I should have put that in the title or somewhere. William C. Graves was also the father of the modern zombie movement. Mama One says, thanks, Serena. We always hope that when we leave this world knowing people love horses and will treat them with love and respect. Yeah. Jay Leno said something interesting about horses. Horses versus cars. He said that once cars became popular, horses were actually allowed to thrive because they ceased to be work animals, and so that they could, they actually lived better lives and longer lives when they became like leisure animals, giant pets that you could ride. And I think about that a lot. Oh, and Papa One, I was watching LawTube. I watch LawTube and sometimes, and you talked about those trespassers who hopped the fence. The distinction between trespass and breaking and entering, aka burglary, is as simple as hopping a fence. You don't have to like breaking, entering, you think that would mean kicking open a door or like busting a window. But it's as simple as hopping a fence if you have a posted sign that says no trespassing. So it's a big deal. And I don't think like the average person realizes that, a sign that's posted private property and a barrier that you can cross over, that's for animals, is actually a legal barrier. And so, anyways, Papa One continues, Gunner didn't like children. He would come knocking over my son and try to bite him. My dad, who's in his 80s, comes flying across, yanks Gunner by his back and throws him across the road. It didn't hurt Gunner, but he never charged my son again, and he was always gentle and docile with him. My dad told him when he was a soldier in France, he had seen a German Shepherd maul a child, and it bothered him for years. Yeah, I bet. Oh, and the latest word that I've taught Sadie is gentle. And most of the time I'll say it like gentle, gentle. But sometimes I'll yell it like gentle. Like when she's when she's roughhousing with like little yappy dogs, which she does all the time. You know, it's like, and it'll always calm her down when I say that. But when my sister was here, she was very excited and she jumped on her, and so I yelled gentle, you know, at the top of my lungs, just to get her to calm down and to sit, which she did immediately. But you know, I laughed because I'd said gentle in the most violent and ungentlemanly way. Serena asks, Antonio, would you consider doing a Wolf Creek video? Talking if you want to. There's a Wolf Creek 3 coming out. I know there's a Wolf Creek TV show as well. Is it based on something real? Is what I want to know, Serena. If it is, then I'll talk about it. Wolf Creek, based on a true story. Wolf Creek is a horror film that is marketed as based on an actual events, but the story and characters are fictional. The film was inspired by several true crimes, including the 1990s backpacker cancellations by Ivan Millet, the 2001 abduction and cancellation of Peter Falconio, and other crimes. The film's setting was moved from a state forest near Sydney to a more isolated Australian desert landscape. The plot begins at a meteorite crater, which suggests supernatural power. Okay, yeah, we can do that for you, Serena. Be happy to. Maybe this Sunday, if I can get it together enough. I've seen 1 and 2. I like Mick Taylor. And I like that actor. Serena says, yes, it's a true story. Serena, you're a true story. Papa one says, yeah, but those kids were decent just trying to fish. I gave them my number and told them to call because my farm dogs will attack and they could get hurt. They didn't realize I have about 10 farm dogs. They are outside dogs but are vaccinated and get bathed. They have a heated doghouse and other fun places. They're just meant to guard livestock and the farm. Yeah, you got to pack. David says he was going to do Quickly Down Under. Very scary. Yeah, those I missed those movie nights. I'm thinking, you know, like we've got this picture within picture that we might be able to get away with streaming a YouTube movie this small. Where look, how do I get it over here? Okay, yeah, there we go. Look at that thing over there. We can make it this small or maybe even smaller. Like maybe this small. I should try it. But again, you know, it might crash the system. That was the other problem with like streaming. But actually, if I streamed it at a lower resolution, like a way lower, like 240p, because it's really small anyways, and you would be watching it on a different screen. We might want to try that. We might bring back the Saturday movie night. What movies are playing right now that are free on YT? I'm liking this idea. John Jarrett is amazing. Love him. Makes us laugh too. Yeah, John Jarrett played Mick Taylor. YouTube free movies. Okay, YouTube movies. We could watch Star Trek, Psycho Part 2, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Child's Play, Predator, Predators, A Quiet Place, Blazing Saddles. No, I think these are, here's free with ads. The Abyss, The Bourne Identity, Hold on, I'm trying to get to view all. Austin Powers, White House Down, Armageddon, Taken 3, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, The Truman Show, Grease, Summer Lovin', Had Me a Blast. As Above, So Below. Have you seen that one, Serena? It's super scary. It's about the Paris catacombs. Austin Powers, Patton, The Terminator. This might work. There's a Batman 66 one that might be funny. Along Came Polly. Little Big Man. Godzilla versus Destroyer. I've never heard of that. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Yeah, the older movies, the ones that I love, don't. Train to Busan. Okay, we're going to watch Train to Busan. We're going to do it. Train to Busan is one of the greatest zombie movies ever made. It's Korean. It's perfect. Saturday is not a horse show. We're bringing back movie night, and we're going to watch Train to Busan. What's that about? Yeah, that's going to happen. Train to Busan. It's in Korean. You're going to have to watch the subtitles. David, have you seen Train to Busan? It's a 2016 Korean action horror film. The film mostly takes place on a train from Seoul to Busan as a zombie apocalypse suddenly breaks out in the country and threatens the safety of the passengers. And he's got his daughter with him, a little kid. Serena says, I don't think I've seen it, Antonio. If it's possible, Serena, I want you to check this week that it is available in Australia land. So look on YouTube, because sometimes internationally it's not available. And let me know that you can watch it on YouTube. David says, my name is Nobody. And Mom wants us Train to Busan. I heard it's great. I was very impressed with it. And that's the one I want to show you. It's funny how it's like immediately I know exactly what I want to show you from all those. Mama one says we should watch The Reckoning on YouTube about Jimmy Savile. Serena says, what's it called again? Train to Busan, Busan. Look it up right now and see if it's available for free on YT. If not, we'll probably watch The Terminator because I love that movie. At any rate, that is about all I have for you tonight. I know you're all busy for your 4th of July celebrations tomorrow, except for Serena. Australia is technically still a colony, isn't it? Everyone, appreciate all of you. Shout out to the mods, Papa 1 and Mama 1 and Serena and David and Christina. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this week's installment of Weirdling Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, we Weirdling. We shall be back on Friday. Enjoy your holiday. Miko, thanks for this. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate you, friend. Enjoy your night. And we'll see you on Friday. Mama one asks, how is Sadie during fireworks? We're going to leave her inside. I'm not even going to take her out for the afternoon walk. I don't want anyone to throw a firecracker at us, which has never, ever happened in the history of my life, but I worry about it. David says,